Hello, my dear friends. Let's be honest right away. Each of us has had a story like this. You walk into a store, see beautiful jeans in the window, they look perfect on the model, and you think, finally, here they are, mine. You grab your size, head to the fitting room, close the curtain behind you, and that's when it all begins. You pull them up, they won't close. You pull harder, they fasten, but you can't breathe. You turn sideways to the mirror, and your heart sinks. You turn your back, look over your shoulder, and you just want to leave the fitting room and never come back. Sound familiar? Very familiar. And what do we do in that moment? We take off those jeans, hang them back on the rack, walk out, and somewhere inside, we quietly decide. That's it. Jeans aren't for me. Never. I'll wear only dresses, or trousers, or long skirts. And here I want to take your hand and say, stop. Wait. Don't do that. Because what you're about to give up isn't just jeans. You're about to give up on yourself in jeans. And that's a completely different thing. It's not your figure that's to blame. It's the specific model, the specific cut, the specific fit, the specific length. That's it. Nothing more. And today, I want to go through all those mistakes we make when choosing, often without even realizing it. I'll talk about the 6 most common missteps, and for each, I'll suggest a replacement that really works. And at the very end, I'll share a secret that almost no one talks about out loud. It's a small detail, but it can ruin the whole picture even when you seem to have everything right. So stick around until the end. It's really important. You know me. Here on this channel, we talk about style calmly, without pressure, and without that eternal, you're doing it all wrong. I'm not a fashion critic or a teacher with a ruler. I'm that friend who's just here, who's been through the same fitting rooms and the same disappointments, and who seems to have finally found a way to choose so that you can enjoy your reflection instead of turning away from it. And I want to share all of this with you, openly, humanely, without snobbery, and without complicated words. If you resonate with this approach, stay with me. We'll have plenty to talk about. And please, make sure to hit the bell so you don't miss the next discussions. I've got a lot more prepared for you. Now, the most important thing I want to start with. Let's say out loud one thing that, for some reason, people are shy to discuss. As we age, our bodies change. It's normal. It's not a disaster, not a cause for alarm, not a reason to declare war on the mirror. It's just a fact of life. What fit perfectly in your closet 10 years ago may fit differently today. And it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you've changed. Your volume is distributed a bit differently, your waistline is softer, your hips sit differently, and your shoulders hold themselves differently. All of this is natural. And you know what the real mistake is? It's not that your body has changed. It's that many of us continue to choose clothes based on the same rules we used when we were 25. But those rules are different now. Completely different. And here I want you to hear me very carefully. This isn't a reason to give up your favorite clothes. Not at all. It's a reason to choose them more consciously. It's a reason to ask yourself a few more questions in the fitting room. It's a reason not to buy the first pair you find just because, well, they seem to fit. It's a reason to give yourself time and the right to make a good, informed, calm choice. And believe me, when you find your fit, your length, your shade, your feeling, you'll look in those jeans like never before. Not okay, not bad, but in a way that makes you want to linger in front of the mirror for just another second and smile quietly to yourself. And trust me, that's the best feeling in the world. Why do I believe that the conversation about jeans is not about fashion, but about freedom? Let me explain. Think about it. In how many situations does the right pair save you? Running into a store in the morning? Jeans. Strolling through the park with a friend? Jeans. Going to a meeting where strict dress code isn't needed, but a tracksuit isn't an option? Jeans. A weekend trip out of town? There they are again. Coffee shop, exhibition, walk with the grandkids, a trip to the movies, a spontaneous dinner at a nice place. They're everywhere. It's the thing that keeps you afloat in any uncertain situation. And giving up such a versatile helper just because one or two models didn't work out is like throwing away your car keys because it didn't start once. The right pair can do incredible things. It elongates your silhouette. It gently hugs your figure, supporting it without squeezing anything or accentuating excess. It makes your legs look visually longer. It works with any top, whether it's a light blouse, a chunky knit sweater, a blazer, or a tucked-in or untucked shirt. It pairs well with sneakers, ballet flats, boots, and even heels. This is a rare, very rare quality, and that's why it's worth spending time to find your perfect pair. Now, let's get to the point. I promise 6 mistakes, and I'll go into detail about each one. What exactly goes wrong, why our bodies react the way they do, and, most importantly, what to replace it with. I'll find a lively, workable option for every situation. Agreed? Then get comfortable, pour yourself some tea, because this conversation will be warm, thorough, and hopefully very helpful. Let's go. So, mistake number 1, and perhaps the most common of all. It's an overly tight model. You know, the one that seems painted on your leg, clinging to every inch and leaving no room to breathe. In the store, we think that the tighter it fits, the slimmer we'll look. The logic seems simple. It hugs, so it highlights, so it's good. But in reality, the opposite happens. And now I'll explain why. When the fabric literally clings to your body, it shows absolutely everything. Every wrinkle, every imperfection, every spot where your skin behaves a bit softer than we'd like. And that's the first problem. The second problem is even more interesting, because the bottom becomes very thin and tightly fitted. The upper part of the body starts to look visually larger in contrast. Shoulders appear wider. The waist looks bulkier. Hips seem heavier. This is the optical illusion that almost no one thinks about. We want to look slimmer, but we get the opposite effect. It's paradoxical, but that's how it works. What do I suggest instead? A calm, even shape. Not tight, but not baggy. Something in between. One where the fabric flows down the leg softly, not hugging every curve, but creating a clean, straight line from the thigh down to the hem. This line is our main ally. It elongates the silhouette, makes the figure look slimmer, and at the same time doesn't accentuate or highlight anything. You glide within the fabric, rather than being wrapped in it. What should you pay attention to when choosing? I'll give you 3 simple things. First, definitely check the fit on the hips. The fabric should lie flat, not stretch, and not create horizontal wrinkles. If wrinkles appear, the model is too small, even if you've fastened it. Second, look at the knee. If the fabric creases, wrinkles, or gathers, that's not your model. Move on. And third, the fabric should have minimal stretch material. The denser and calmer the fabric, the better it holds its shape and the longer it lasts. Too stretchy will lose its shape after just a few wears, and you'll end up with that disappointing picture of, they seemed good, but now they're shapeless. Let's move on. Mistake number 2, incorrect waistband placement. And this, my dear friends, is a topic I could talk about for a long time, because it seems that 90% of all missteps happen here. A waistband that's too low, the kind that seems specifically designed to ruin any figure. What happens when the waistband drops down to the hips? Several unpleasant things occur simultaneously. First, the waist disappears. It simply vanishes from sight. It's no longer visible because a no man's land forms between it and the waistband, where the top fabric moves on its own. Second, the stomach appears visually larger because the lower fabric presses against it from below, pushing it up and out. Third, the legs look visually shorter because the point from which the eye starts to measure them has shifted down. And fourth, the most frustrating, the back becomes exposed with any bend or simply when you sit down. You're constantly adjusting, tugging, pulling, and it turns into a little daily torture. What do I suggest instead? A high waist, the kind where the waistband sits at the natural waist or just above the navel. I know. Many of you are grimacing right now. That's the grandma style. No, my dear friends, that's not grandma style. That's royal style. A high waist does incredible things. It gently hugs the stomach, creates a clear waistline, elongates the legs, and completely covers the back and lower back with any movement. You sit, bend, reach for your bag, and nothing shifts. This, mind you, is true liberation. Just make sure to check one thing when trying it on. Sit down. Right in the fitting room, sit on a chair or squat. If the waistband digs into your stomach, if you feel physically uncomfortable, if you sense something is being pinched inside, that's not your model. A high waist shouldn't be tight. It should hug, not constrict. This is a very important difference, and you can only feel it in motion, not standing stiffly in front of the mirror. And now, mistake number 3, color and pattern. This is perhaps the most insidious issue because we rarely associate an unsuccessful look with the shade. We think, well, blue jeans are blue, what's the difference? But the difference is huge, and it boils down to this. Light shades, especially with distressed effects around the hips, the front of the leg, or the knee, act like little spotlights. They literally highlight the area where the light spot falls. So if you have a distressed spot right in the middle of your thigh, the viewer's eye is automatically drawn to that point, and the area visually expands. The same goes for bright decorative seams, contrasting stitching, patches, and large patterns. Everything that's lighter and brighter than the main background attracts the eye and enlarges. The principle is very simple. Light comes forward, dark recedes. This works in painting, in interior design, and of course, in clothing. So if you want to soften a certain area, there should be no light spots on it. None. Period. What should you choose instead? Solid, dark shades. Deep blue, graphite, rich indigo, black. No distressing, no variations, no decorative bits. Just a smooth, dark canvas. This is the most slimming option you can think of. It creates that clean vertical line I mentioned earlier and doesn't allow the eye to catch on anything unnecessary. The most advantageous option if you want maximum correction is dark blue or black with a very calm, neat fabric texture. No shine, no dullness, just a smooth, noble color. Such a pair works like a magic wand. You can wear it with anything. It always looks expensive and put together, and it forgives your figure everything. And before we move on, I want to remind you once again, here, on this channel, we regularly gather such discussions. If you find this helpful, please subscribe and stay with me. There are still 3 mistakes to cover and that promise secret, which I really hope you'll stick around for until the end. It's truly worth it. Let's continue. Mistake number 4, decorative elements that break the line. This, my dear friends, is a separate painful topic. There are so many models in stores right now with various highlights, large ripped holes at the knees, intentionally frayed edges, sewn-on patches, contrasting inserts, fringe, rhinestones, embroidery. All of this looks interesting on the hanger, catches our attention, And we think, well, this isn't an ordinary pair. It has character. But then we try them on, and something doesn't quite work. The picture seems to be there, but the feeling isn't. Let's figure out what's happening. Any decorative element is a stopping point for the eye. When the viewer's gaze glides down the silhouette, it moves along a clean line and reads the figure as a whole. But as soon as it encounters something bright, contrasting, or unconventional, the gaze stops right there. And the entire solid vertical line we've worked so hard to build breaks apart. It's especially frustrating when such an element is placed right at the knee or just above, that is, in the area that most of us would prefer to keep unnoticed. Another problem is that ripped elements and distressing simply stop working as we mature. This, forgive my bluntness, isn't a question of fashion, but of harmony. When we see intentionally ripped knees on a well-groomed woman with a beautiful hairstyle and subtle makeup, there's a dissonance. The picture doesn't come together. It's as if two different images are trying to coexist in one silhouette and are arguing with each other. What to replace it with? If you want a touch of casualness, a bit of relaxed vibe in your look, there are much more delicate ways to achieve it. The first option, pay attention to an unhemmed lower edge. Not ripped, not frayed, but neatly unhemmed, as if the fabric was cut and left as is. This gives that effortless effect without breaking the line. The second option, a slight texture in the fabric itself. Not a smooth, shiny surface, but a fabric with character, with a slight unevenness in the weave. It already gives a sense of life and movement, without needing anything extra. The third option, small, barely noticeable details around the waist or pockets, neat stitching in a slightly different tone, a calm button in an interesting shape, a thin belt loop. All of this enhances the look, but doesn't shout. The main principle is this: decoration should be in the upper part, closer to the face. Earrings, a scarf, an interesting collar on a blouse, a beautiful brooch. And let the bottom remain a calm background on which all this unfolds. Then the gaze automatically goes up to the most valuable: your face, your eyes, your smile, while your legs softly fade into the background, fulfilling their role of supporting a beautiful image. Mistake number 5, too loose, voluminous cut. This is the opposite extreme of the first mistake we discussed, and it's where women who once got disappointed with tight models end up deciding, that's it. Now only freedom, only space, nothing against the body. And they buy huge, baggy models in which the body literally gets lost. And again, it seems that the more fabric, the better it hides. But in reality, it creates a completely different picture. When there's too much fabric and it hangs like a shapeless sack, here's what happens. The figure inside that sack disappears completely. There's no waist, no hip line, no hint of shape, and we turn into one large volume, wide, flat, heavy. The paradox is that both an overly tight model and an overly loose one yield equally unsuccessful results, just for different reasons. The first shows too much, the second shows too little, and the truth, as always, lies in between. What do I suggest? A loose but structured cut. This means the fabric doesn't cling to the leg. It has room to move and breathe. But the cut is smartly designed. There's a clear waistband, a thoughtful placement of side seams, and a neat, not overly wide hem. So the fabric is free, but the silhouette is gathered. It doesn't hang like a sheet, but drapes over the figure with respect, hinting at the shape without revealing every detail. A straight cut works especially well. Not tapered at the bottom, not flared, but straight, one even line from the thigh to the hem. This is the safest and most universal shape that suits absolutely everyone. It elongates, masks what needs to be masked, and highlights what needs to be highlighted. If in doubt, go for a straight cut. You won't go wrong. Mistake number 6, and this one is very important: incorrect length. This is the story where it seems like everything is right. The fit is good, the color is correct, the cut is suitable, but the picture still doesn't come together. And we're turning in front of the mirror, not understanding what's wrong. And what's wrong is this: the length cuts off the line of the leg at the least flattering point. The most unflattering points are the middle of the calf and just below the knee. If the fabric ends there, the leg visually becomes shorter, and the cutting line emphasizes the widest part of the lower leg. The picture ends up looking heavy and rough, and no correct fit will save it. There are 2 optimal lengths that work almost all the time. The first, exactly to the ankle bone, not a centimeter higher or lower. This length reveals the narrowest part of the leg, creates a sense of lightness, and pairs well with almost any footwear. The second, to the middle of the foot, where the fabric gently rests on top of the shoe and forms a small horizontal fold. This length visually elongates the legs and works especially well with shoes that have a small heel. And one more important point: don't hesitate to consult a tailoring specialist. If you found your pair, everything is perfect except for the length. That's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to go to the tailor and spend a small amount to make the piece yours. And definitely try it on before tailoring with the shoes you plan to wear most often. The length with ballet flats and the length with boots are 2 different lengths. If you can, take 2 pairs of shoes to the tailor and let the master mark both options. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, the promised secret. That little detail that almost no one talks about out loud, but which can ruin even the perfectly chosen pair. Ready? Listen closely. It's the overall condition of the item. Its freshness, its shape, its appearance today, at this specific moment, not at the time of purchase 2 years ago. Do you understand what I mean? Any item, even the best, most expensive, and most perfectly chosen pair, loses its shape over time. The fabric stretches at the knees, the color fades, creases appear that can no longer be smoothed out, the hem starts to fray where it shouldn't, and then you put on this item that was once your pride, and it no longer works, because it's tired. It has served its time. And here's the most important rule I want you to remember: the item should work for you today. Not by the inertia of past years, not by sentimental memories, not because it was once perfect. Today. Now. On this specific day when you take it out of the closet. Make it a habit to honestly assess your items once a season. Not with love, not with memories, but soberly. If the item has lost its shape, its time has passed. Thank it and let it go. This isn't wastefulness. It's respect for your present self.